Hey, beautiful people. Welcome to my channel. I am so excited to talk to you today because I just wrote an article about a situation that happened like 4 years ago. And it was about me doing a keynote for about 300 people. And after I was done, after getting these accolades, having a great conversation with those in the audience, a woman that was white, and I was in a very white space, patted me on the head and walked away after I was done. So I am a Black woman in America, and that has so many reasons why I was wrong. But even furthermore, it's just not in our culture to do anything like that. So for her to do something like that was totally inappropriate. And I made this video or making this video because I believe that making bold our default, being fearless, being courageous as our default will help us show up in ways that maybe we hadn't acted like before because it wasn't how we were raised to act. It hasn't been our experience. And so when this happened to me 4 years ago, I decided that this is the last straw because it was more than someone patting me on the head as if I'm a child or a pet. Because at the end of the day, I'm a professional speaker. Nobody goes to a professional speaker afterward, like a Brene Brown or a Les Brown, all the Browns, Tony Robbins, whatever, and would pat them on their head or would run their fingers through Oprah's head. Not that I'm any of those people. I am definitely someone that is in their own right as great as those. But the point is, it's not appropriate. But I was in survival mode. I was in fight, flight, or freeze mode when this happened. And it caused me to react from a place of not feeling psychologically safe. I was in a space where I was the only person of color at all. And although I was around people that some of them I had known because this was a client I had worked with some time, when that happened, I didn't even feel safe sharing it with people. I also felt even embarrassed. And afterward, I beat myself up so much for not saying something to this woman in person and making myself feel bad about it and really suppressing my emotions around it afterward. And so that was like my final straw. I was like, you know what, Desiree, where is this coming from? Like, why did you allow this to happen? And there is a really good balance that we can have when situations like this arise of not, killing ourselves and making ourselves feel super bad about every little thing because you know what? We're humans. But at the same time, I wanted to really unpeel the onion. Like, why did this even happen? Why did I allow this to happen? And so what I realized is that it took me all the way back to a situation that had happened 10 years prior where I had worked at a different job and I had became a facilitator position in a facilitator position at this job. And I had a lot of microaggressions that was happening with my supervisor. They said things openly about Black people in front of me, and I was the only Black person on staff. And I would nervously laugh. So that probably sent mixed messages. But I'm sure that, the person that I am now knows that I was doing that because I didn't know how to react. I was scared to like bring up conflict or say something to stand up for myself. And so that all came rushing back when I started reflecting on why did I even let this happen? And so I decided that I wanted to unlearn feeling unsafe in places where it wasn't about physical safety, that I get to be bold and react the way that I feel like is appropriate in real time and not months later, weeks later, or try to convince myself that nothing really happened or it's not a big deal. And so I do a lot of work around positive intelligence. And so if you don't know about positive intelligence, feel free to look at the book. You can Google it. I am a positive intelligence coach. And what I learned in my own journey with positive intelligence is that I suffered from people pleasing. And people pleasing, I can see how it has just become a thread over my life when I was reflecting on all of these things. And so when I did all of the inner work to research, like, where did this come from? I know it came from being a child and wanting to see everyone in harmony, wanting everyone to get along, wanting to make sure that if my parents were having a bad day or anyone in my family was experiencing things that were hard, that I wasn't also the cause of them feeling anxious, frustrated, and all the things. So I never wanted to talk about when something was bothering me. I never wanted to present that people had to worry about me because I can take care of myself. So I became hyper independent independent. Another self-sabotaging tendency that can come from that is being a hyperachiever. And that's also something that I was working through. I wanted to be that person that can just show people, validate for people that, hey, look, I don't need help. I'm independent. Look what I can do. And so that in combination with people pleasing really set me up to have these experiences to in that job that I had where I was having microaggressions, even having a supervisor or manager train me and tell me that, oh, you don't speak well enough. You sound like you have too much of a country twang. We want you to speak differently. And it's a direct hit on who I am as a Black woman. My dad is from Mississippi. If you're familiar with the states, that's Southern. And I have a little bit of that twang. And nobody is saying that to the white man that also works there that's from Texas, that definitely has a country twang, but I'm being told this. And so it really took a hit to my self esteem on top of the fact that I have learned to be quiet, to suppress, to make everybody comfortable and not really say the thing that is on my mind, to act like everything is okay. And so fast forward to this event where this woman patted me on the head, it put me into, if you know about fight, flight, and freeze and fawn, it put me into freeze. And that is a common way that I've dealt with issues when I didn't feel comfortable, when I didn't feel safe. I was in freeze mode, like, oh my gosh, I can't move. I don't know what to do. And I was really having an out of body experience because I was filled with also not just freezing and fear for what is happening, being in a space where I didn't feel like I could react the way I would react if it was mixed company or other people that looked like me in the space. I also was feeling embarrassed that I allowed this to happen and wondered what the other people that was in the space was thinking when I let this happen. Like, how could I let this happen? And other people in the space, didn't say anything either. And so it really made me feel embarrassed, filled with anger, didn't want to even be in the space anymore, even though I'm at work. So I still had to perform. I had to facilitate. I had to do another keynote that same evening. And so with all of that said, I wanted to desperately make myself learn, how do I make bold my default? And so after doing a lot of unearthing, a lot of inner work, I came up with this framework that I've used for being bold. And so I'm only going to get through the first letter today because bold is really about being fearless. It's about being courageous. It's about being okay with taking risks. And yes, we're human, so we might not be like this all the time, but there is a way that we can practice using this in a way that helps us become more the version of ourselves that we know that we are. Because the truth is, if you're watching this channel, you have been bold in your life. I know I have been. I grew up being someone that was the president of the student body class when I was a junior and a senior. I was in all the sports. I really loved mentoring. I was a peer mentor. I was a teen mentor. So I was bold in doing things in my life that I knew would put me in the front, put me on stage. I really enjoyed that. I knew that I wasn't afraid to say certain things in certain circles. So maybe you are more bold with your family than you are at work for whatever reason. And there's no shame on that. My whole point in saying this is that you have something in you that allows you to be courageous, to have moments of fearlessness. And the question is, how can we have that more often? How can we have that as a default and not something that kind of happens later? And so I practice this by being. Literally being in my being. That's so profound. I love that. Being in my being. And so with being the first part of my bold framework, I like to use this system in helping us work through what our identity is going to be and what being we want to stand in by helping us think about, what do we want to be? Or what does it look like to be that person? Like, what is our vision? And whether it's for that person or for our lives, we can interchangeably write that out, but really get clear about, what is the vision? What does it even mean to make bold my default? What does that default bold person looks like in my body, in my life? And so for me, it was, you know what, Desiree, I desire to be that person that actually says things in real time. How can I say things in real time? I'm someone that is okay with conflict. It's okay that I'm in crucial conversations. And so because I'm that person, I get to say things quickly. I get to process my feelings. I get to feel my feelings and not suppress my feelings. And so because I am creating this vision of who I desire to be, that is going to help me do the second part. And so the second part is, well, who do you get to be? The first part is what? What is the vision? What does it even look like to be this bold person? And then the second is, who does that person get to be? What is it? What is it that I get to be? It gets to be picking up the phone. It gets to be using your words. It gets to be taking the time to figure out, locate yourself, and then giving yourself a time limit on when you're going to actually have the conversation. Because I know if I wait too long, I'll talk myself out of it. And so that is the identity I want to step into, that person that is already bold, that person that already knows how to articulate their feelings, that person that allows themselves to process their feelings. That's the identity that I get to step into. And so the last part of it is do you. So you get to actually do the things that are aligned with who you say you want to be and aligned with that vision that you have of yourself. Now, the do part can be difficult for some of us because we get really overwhelmed with this big idea of becoming a different person. So we're like, oh my gosh, this is going to take us forever to be that person. But in my book, Get Your Life Today, 7 Success Hacks for Life, Leadership, and Business, I make it quite simple because one of those chapters is called Taking Big Baby Steps. So if you know anything about babies, you know that they grow up not knowing how to walk. And most of us, we learned how to walk early and we're walking, we're running, we're doing all these things. But for babies, it's a first time thing. So they're crawling, they're hanging on to stuff, they're doing things to help them walk, right? And so it's big for them. It's huge for them. Not a big deal for us because we've been there, done that. But for them, it's huge. So I want you to think about the steps that you desire to take as, although they're small, they're huge for you. So we're not going to minimize whatever you choose to do that's going to move you toward making bold your default. So if that's, you know what, I'm going to start raising my hand. I'm going to start raising my hand in meetings and I'm going to say something first. Or feeling your body, right? Feeling your body from a sense of understanding when you're feeling stress, when you understand that you feel threatened or something is happening and you're acknowledging it, like really practicing that. There's another great book called The Body Keeps Score. I talk about it often in some of my videos. And in that book, they talk about, we hold stress in our bodies. And if we pay attention to our bodies even more, especially women, not that men can't benefit from this, but especially women, when we understand where we're holding our stress, like do we feel like we just had a good punch conversation or our heart drops or we feel the stress in our shoulders, when we feel those things, how can we acknowledge those feelings, work through those feelings, and being able to take action according to what we know we feel is going on with us versus ignoring it and just going with life. If any of you are people that watch animated features, I've actually mentioned this in one of my videos before, but I love Inside Out. Inside Out is an amazing movie. And it really talks about the mental talk that we have in our head that's going on with our emotions. And in Inside Out 2, they talked about this sense that when we're anxious and when anxiety takes over, it typically suppresses our other emotions. There's this image in the movie where they actually bottle up joy and sadness and fear and disgust so that anxiousness can take over, anxiety can take over. And so there is a time where we won't let ourselves feel our emotions because we're in survival mode. We're in fight, flight, freeze, or fawn. We're not allowing ourselves to feel the thing. And so we get numb to it. And when we get numb to it, it's not until kind of like that straw that broke the camel's back happens and then we spaz out. And so if we can start normalizing, you know what, let me feel what's going on with me, give myself a time limit and actually have a conversation, handle it, take care of it instead of letting it continue to pile on. That's making bold our default. That's allowing us to be more courageous in real time, helping us learn to make moves past the fear that we're feeling. It helps us to take those things that feel super risky and they become like not risky at all. It's like, oh, this is not a big deal. So I guarantee that if you start walking in your being, unlearning how you have been acting in the way that you don't want to see yourself being anymore, you want to see yourself as that vision. Take some time and write out, what is that vision? What does it look like for me to be bold on a regular? Who is that person that I get to be? Maybe that is you just sitting up taller. Maybe that's you doing something different in your appearance because that makes you feel more powerful, more grounded. And you start doing that on a regular basis, even if it's something small, that's your big baby step. I guarantee that bold will eventually become your default in whatever area of life that you desire it to be. So if you really liked this talk, then you'll love my upcoming workshop. I'm doing a workshop on magnetic presence, and this is exactly some of the things that we'll be discussing. Feel free to click the link below and click the link below with whatever workshop you might want to come to that I'm doing later on this year. And until the next time, have a great day.